For January 11th, 2013, we talk about the Pokemon X and Y announcement, Far Cry 3, and speedrunning against cancer. Welcome to the 8th level. My name's Kole Ross.
I'm Furia.
And I'm Tyler Crumrine.
And welcome to The Level. This is the 8th episode of this thing that we do. We have a new voice here. Tyler, tell us a little bit about your podcast. We mentioned you a couple episodes ago, and then like the devil himself, you appear.
Yes, it's like Beelzebub. I have emerged from the ash, but I am one of the hosts on a show called Ninjas vs. Podcast. We take versus and would you rather questions weekly from listeners, and we argue them on the show. And they can be anything from as simple as is it worse raking leaves or shoveling snow? Or would you rather put your grandma inside of a snow globe full of peanut butter and shake her up? Or hit your firstborn child with a golf club?
And I think we know the obvious answer to that one.
Get a hole in one if you hit the child with the golf. Also, chances are they're a baby, and babies don't know nothing.
No.
Remember any of it.
Babies are less likely to fight back.
Yeah. So, we have a fun time over there, and I'm a big fan of the Duckfeed shows, so Kole and I have become kind of pod brothers, and He was kind enough to invite me onto the show.
It's kind of funny, actually. The question we submitted for Ninja vs. Podcast was, would you rather come on to our show or have us stalk you for the next year? And you can see the result.
Here, and eventually I came onto the show because it's out of my yard. So
to stop the madness.
Which your yard has great acoustics, I must say.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It also has I live with an artist, and we actually right now have a cast iron turquoise bathtub on our front porch that is full of ball pit balls with fake facts about the Occupy Wall Street movement written on them from his art gallery, Occupy Ball Street.
Oh.
All adventure here on Bryant Street.
Yes.
I kind of wish I was on your lawn now.
It's a thing to hold.
Can you bathe in it? Is it like a Chuck E. Cheese ball pit kind of thing?
We couldn't bathe in it because we don't have all the holes plugged up correctly.
Yes.
But for a while, we did have cushions in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just kind of lounge on the porch in the bathtub and read as people walked past the house.
See, I guess that's what I meant, to rest inside and read facts.
Yeah.
Although you know who loves ball pits?
Who?
Snakes. So the brief, it's where we talk about video game news and news-like things. Does anybody want to volunteer a story?
I will be the gracious guest and go ahead and volunteer my information first.
Yes,
I got
do your thing.
Two things. First thing, big announcement. This morning, Pokemon X and Y was announced.
I saw that.
Yes, the next generation of Pokemon games. And so they're getting rid of the sprite style. They're going with three-dimensional polygons.
Yeah.
And so that's one big change. They said that they're going to utilize the 3DS capabilities and that there would be ways to connect globally. I'm not sure if it's like the MMO style Pokemon interaction that people have been waiting for, as far as just being able to like encounter people in the wild and battle them, or if it's their kind of random match system that they've had in other games. But that's going to be something. But probably the most exciting news online right now, and really one of the only things they've announced, is the 3 new starters, which are, you have the grass Pokemon Chespin, who is, at least I think that's right. Let me double check. Yes, Chespin, who looks like I'm going to say a mole wearing kind of a pea pod with like a radish end on top of his head.
Okay.
Really just kind of a vermin with a hat on. Fennekin, which looks like a Firefox. It's literally just a browser.
Exactly, I was going to say.
That most people have abandoned for Chrome.
Yes, he evolves into Chrome.
You're not going to want to choose that one.
Yeah, steel type.
And then the obvious choice, the one I'm invariably going to go with, is Froakie, which is a frog with a beard made out of bubbles and a nose.
Yes.
Looks like a little tiny pair of opera glasses. And yeah, I really just hope his beard and mustache get more and more extreme as he evolves. And I am bold to say that water types are for winter types. So I think everyone knows what choice they'll be making in October of 2013, which is when the game will be coming out.
Is that Japanese release or American release?
Actually, this is the first Pokemon that they're doing global simultaneous release.
Wow, because we're still like 5 years behind Japan. Actually, like they're on. Wow, that's crazy. So are the four that
in the Akira timeline right now? Neo Tokyo has been set up after the original Tokyo was destroyed.
Yes,
but yeah, it's being released simultaneously worldwide, which does give me a bit of hope for connectivity. Because releasing it all at the same time, it may be that they're going to try and let people interact together online all at the same time. And another nice thing about the 3DS is that there hasn't been a lot of hacking progress on it. There's been some from people trying to get homebrews running, but I'm really hopeful that with a 3DS Pokemon game, you're not going to run into people who have instant replay AR card Pokemon into the game right away. So if it is global connectivity, then hopefully it'll be a bit of a even playing field.
Does Pokemon? So I'll tell you about my my only encounter with Pokemon beyond Pokemon Snap, which is amazing, in a little bit. But
grass, because that's where the random encounters happen.
Yes, but does that tend to be the way the games go? If you're playing against other players, is there a lot of people who have just kind of cheated their way to the top and play to blow people out of the water?
Yeah, they've actually yet to leave the Pokemon Snap gameplay style. Most of this game will just be going around taking pictures of other people on.
But like with the 3DS gyroscope kind of thing, that'd be pretty awesome, right?
I think that there definitely needs to be a Pokemon Snap sequel. But that is the big problem, is that if you're playing Diamond or Crystal or Platinum or whatever iterations there are out now, Black and White, is that there's kind of a period at the start where everyone's on the even playing field, and then there are people who either using like cheat cartridges or just figuring out, even there are people who have figured out how to send themselves Wi-Fi gifts where they will craft their own Pokemon and send it to themselves to go ahead and just give themselves like ridiculously high level, like, oh, I have a team of level 100 legendaries and
good.
Perfect, EVs and training and whatever. Although the one thing I do like about the hacking is that a lot of the goons on the Something Awful forums actually made like joke Pokemon. There was one I downloaded an Electabuzz named Guile, whose only attack was Sonic Boom. And there was also a Psyduck named Psy-Pop, and its only move that it knew was self-destruct.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay, so am I to assume like you've kept up on Pokemon? Like,
I'm a Pokemon master at this point.
Okay,
I think that is something that is fair to say.
We should fight. I was a Pokemaster at the local comic shop when I was 12.
Well then,
it was the card game though.
The game, I did enjoy that. I remember buying a lot of like those little glass stones for fish tanks to use as.
Yes, those things. I think I still have some of those laying around.
Pretty BA Wigglytuff, I'll tell you.
Yes, foil Wigglytuff. But I kind of lost the plot after Gold and Silver.
Yeah.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver are really good, but I think that the various Pokemon designs done fell off after 300. But that's being old.
Are the stories in any kind of chronological order, or are they in the same universe or anything?
Vaguely, there's always some kind of like Team Rocket type in. The Black and White one, anyway. I didn't play Black and White 2. They actually did some kind of cool stuff with this organization that's for Pokemon rights that shouldn't be kept in Pokeballs. That it's essentially like dogfighting.
Yeah, it's cockfighting.
They're an ends justify the means type people that like we're gonna kidnap all the Pokemon and essentially terrorists where they're like we're gonna destroy Pokemon-based society so they can live free. But also they've introduced like God-type Pokemon, which really weird mythos of some. And there's this one Pokemon that's like Garbodor that if you read its Pokedex entry, they're really creepy Pokedex entries. But it's like this was a bag of garbage that was left like too close to a nuclear facility or something like that, and it turned into a living being. And now children are playing with it.
Yeah.
Because that's healthy.
Well, the mere existence of ghost-type Pokemon means that humans, when they die, the afterlife is to be trapped in a ball and pitted in battle by a 10-year-old, right?
There's one called Yamask that its entry says that it used to be like a human whose soul was sucked out of it, and it carries a mask of its previous body, and every time it looks at it, it cries.
Oh, God.
I found that to be true with a lot of Japanesey kind of stories. I don't know. Is that a racist term? A lot of Japanese culture.
No. It's like it's like Homer Simpson with Mr. Sparkle. He banishes dirt to the land of wind and ghosts.
But yeah, that for some reason they're very comfortable having like very mature dark themes and very silly childish themes live right next to each other.
Yeah.
Like Driftbloom is a ghost type Pokemon. Like, oh, it looks like a balloon. That's adorable. But if you read its Pokedex entry, it's like, oh, it waits for kids to grab onto it, and then it carries them up into the sky and kidnaps them and never brings them back, and presumably eats.
We all float up here. It's what it is.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. Well,
it's just one big horror story. And then I had one other small piece of news.
Yes, please do.
The band Animaniguchi, chiptune punk skate rock band / the composers of the music for the Scott Pilgrim video game, just announced they have their second full-length album coming out. It's called Endless Fantasy. They released a single called Meow. Please go look up the music video on YouTube. It is probably the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. A bunch of guys in an arcade, like, just chugging Slurpees, and then there are dark moon goths, and then there's like people being decapitated and then turning into Furbies. It is a trip in every sense of the word. But they're just super fun guys. I've seen them live. If you ever have a chance, please go see them. It is the best concert experience, the best natured moshing you will ever find. But really great band, and they put out their first album, Dawn Metropolis, a while back, and it was a very limited pressing, so it's very hard to get a physical copy anymore. But this is kind of their big push that they're really going to get out there with. And just my experience with an Animaniguchi show, I went to a place in Pittsburgh called the Garfield Artworks, which was the building that No Oxygen built. It was just this long hallway that was very warm and very cramped, and I'm waiting for the show to start, and I'm in the front row, and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be a moshing type show, because this is kind of like, this is punk rock, but everybody here is wearing glasses and Mario shirts. And then, like, the first note of the first song, everybody just cut loose, and I felt like I had just played 6 football games in a row, but there was a big sweaty Asian guy giving people hugs after every song, each other up. After the show, I got the band to all sign a Bowser Beanie Baby that I had in my back pocket. It was one of the highlights of my concert experiences so far.
Huh.
So check it out.
Yes, I will include that video in the show notes, and I'm interested to check it out just based on your description alone.
It is so bonkers.
Yeah, for sure.
You said good nature moshing. I just picture people in moon shoes and Nerf suits.
That would be the greatest thing. I'm in moon shoes now just so I can wear them to shows.
Well, you get a good view.
Hey, every girl. You want a date?
Check it out. That's cool.
So yeah, that's my briefing for the day.
Yes.
Cool.
I'll go on to one to say here. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the possibility of a Steam box coming out. And that has been confirmed. It's a thing that they are going to be doing. They don't plan to bring it out in 2013. This is Valve, so it's going to be a whenever it's ready kind of thing. Pertinent details, it's Gabe Newell being Gabe Newell, equal parts. He's kind of like John Carmack in that way. Or like Richard Garriott, where he's kind of monomaniacally focused on things that are beyond our mortal ken. So, he's talking about, just like it's going to have Linux.
Also read an asshole, but at least
no, apparently he's like a really nice dude. He's a little bit obsessed with knives, but,
Oh, no, he's going to do great as the Blob in the next X-Men movie.
Oh, man. The last picture I saw, he had facial hair. That suits him well. His lack of a chin is disturbing.
Hide it. Just hide as much as you can of that face.
George Lucas, he did that too.
Yeah, he's all a little gremlin though.
Yeah,
there's actually no face under that beard.
Oh, is this like a Chuck Norris kind of thing? It's actually a fist. No, wait, it's George Lucas, so it's actually Jar Jar. I don't know. Yes. It's Jar Jar's all the way down. So he's talking about, hey, it's going to have Linux, but this isn't going to be a locked down kind of thing. They're very into the open, so it's going to you're going to be able to install Windows on it if you want to, which it's neat. And they're talking about the engineering problems behind how do we put something that's high performance but also quiet and also runs cool in a living room, and what kind of controller. And he starts talking about, like, I don't think we're going to have tongue controllers just yet, but we're definitely going to have something that goes around your wrist. Something that's just really expressive.
That's glorious. You go get him, Gabe. 2013 is your year. I did have a question about that. Has there been any kind of discussion of a price point yet? Because I saw some people talking about the components and pricing them out alone, and it seemed like it was going to cost some serious bling.
Well, it depends on if you have room for the gigantic liquid tub, the Bacta kind of tank where they can plug the electrodes in and suspend you there. That's my second reference to floating in a tub of some kind of liquid. But anyway,
I'm tracking you, man. I'm following this narrative.
Yeah. No, they haven't mentioned any kind of price point. I mean, I would think that just like common sense says they would want to make it competitive with other consoles. But competitive kind of
with consoles though, or gaming PCs.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, is does the size of the screen that the thing plugs into determine the price?
They got to be really careful in No Man's Land, though, because this is me going to be putting on my business nerd glasses, but there's show for my,
price
my
points.
area of expertise here.
Gaming.
Yes. I don't know what that voice is. Let's not use it again. But the people who are going to buy gaming PCs are going to go all the way. They, there's you get to that point and you want the nice one. You want to invest the money in it.
You get to a certain point where your self-esteem is wrapped up in this object.
Exactly. So yes, that's it.
It's your rig.
Yeah, my rig. And then there are the people who just want to play games and not have to worry about it, to where, if a PS4, whatever it's going to be called, or a Durango 360 Matron, or Wii U. Sorry, Wii U. If they just want to play games, they'll get that. If they want to customize their own machine, they'll buy a rig, and there's kind of a no man's land in between.
Yeah. it's that's something that's kind of reflected in the existence or non-existence of the elusive X-Mac, which is the mythical Mac product that it's whatever you want it to be because it rests between an iMac and a Mac Pro. It's a desktop. It's not a laptop. It's not $4,000 like a Mac Pro, but it's not a laptop and a screen like the iMac is. And also the whole like notion of like competitive also depends on like how much they're going to charge for the next generation of consoles too, because Sony last time they expected you to get a second job to pay for their stuff.
And now it's at the point where people are buying PS3s as like medium price Blu-ray players that also play games. I'm looking at an article right now and it's saying that XI3 wouldn't discuss prices for it, but it's based on its performance level. And as far as like X7A, I don't know what any of these things mean. It looks like there's one pricing estimated at like 99 or 999 and another one that's priced around like 499. So it could be anywhere, but it looks like it might be expensive. I don't know. I don't know anything about computers. I'm running off like a stone calculator right now. I don't know how I'm getting my voice through it.
Getting great mileage out of that abacus.
Oh yeah, it's just wonderful.
I'm riding the Fetas to make sure that I can, take out the clanking of all the things moving around, the gerbil wheels and whatnot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think that like if it had a good deal, if it had 3 years of wheels on it, like in terms of modern PC games, I could see paying $1,000 for it.
Yeah.
Because that's what you would pay for a relatively good gaming PC. You pay that for a good gaming PC.
Well, here's Kole. I know that you had talked in previous episodes about you're going to put together a gaming rig. If this Steambox price comes out and it winds up being the same approximate price that you would pay for whatever you're thinking about assembling, would you abandon your project to get a Steambox?
Maybe not. It really just depends. That's kind of on the back burner. Just because I realized I had PC Game and FIFA at the point where I was thinking about that, and I was like, I can save my money. Things like that.
How many games can you mine with the typical gaming rig?
You can get.
And does that deplete natural resources?
It depends. You turn your electric bill into non-centralized currency that doesn't go through the Fed. Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks, Obama. Ron Paul 2016, et cetera, et cetera. No, it's it's just one of those things that just kind of like I'm curious about it, but mostly because in doing my research I realized we're coming up on like the next generation of Intel stuff. We're on the talk year of Intel's cycle where they bring out new stuff. So the last one was Ivy Bridge, I think, and the next one's going to be Haskell, which is going to be like crazy in terms of like what that CPU can do, like running Source and Blizzard games without a video card, things like that. So who knows? But I'm curious about it. I think that if there's a company that I trust to do that and not be crazy evil about it, it would be Steam. Maybe that's me being naive. Who knows? But we'll keep an eye on it. Because that could be really disruptive if they just decide to come out and say, boom, PC's a console, get it here while it's hot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For the next week, and then you have to get the next version.
Yes. Dennis, briefs.
Yeah, so I have one story that has spurred multiple just interesting thoughts. So this is going to be the week for callbacks to stuff we've talked about in the past because we dedicated a good amount of time to the shooting that went down in Connecticut, and just kind of the terrible tragedy that was, and some people's reactions to it and our reactions to it. And I think it's interesting that there was a leading not gaming journalist, but an expert on kind of media and children's psychology, et cetera, that came out. And basically, Southington, Connecticut is a town nearby. They're holding a big rally to collect and burn violent video games because history has always shown that collecting and burning media is a good idea.
Yeah.
That's
so. Yeah, there's that. But this kind of leading expert has said, "Hey guys, that thing you're planning on doing is probably more damaging to the children than the games that you're going to be burning."
Yeah.
Which
that's serious 1984 stuff going on.
Yeah. We've learned that nothing promotes good behavior in people more than marginalizing and ostracizing them, and especially saying your ideas are dangerous. So, yeah.
I don't know. I think that's just like another example, though, of, I don't know, people who don't want to take, the hard route of just like being very present in their children's lives and, like educating themselves on games, having discussions as like, well, I'm sure there are parents who are having discussions and see things like this, but, a lot of times it is easier when you're like nervous about something, not even afraid of something, like instead of, making the big decision to just kind of make a blanket ban. And it's, you've seen so many people do it before with, books and things like that. And I remember people getting crazy in my hometown about the Golden Compass books.
Yeah.
When they found out that it was like, oh, this guy's writing it as like the atheist Narnia. We gotta take them all out of schools. It's like, well, no, it's, if it's any book, then it should just be a discussion between, parents and their children and stuff. And like, I don't know. I don't think the fleeing from any kind of situation like that or just locking it all away is ever a really good choice.
Yeah, you're dead on. And in the article, and I'll send you the link for the show notes, it actually gives it a great term, which is moral panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is very apt. Actually
it's rap music, comic books, heavy metal.
Whatever's the latest thing.
The novel. I mean, I always go back to this when the novel came out. People were saying like, this is the death of modern thought. This is et cetera. The novel, like
books, those things that are good for you.
Yeah.
But it's actually the stat that astounded me was that this expert, Mr. Ferguson, said that studies show that children who play games with their parents are both less violent and kind of more well psychologically put together than kids who play games alone and than kids who play no games at all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that I definitely buy that. I have fond memories of gaming, like little when my dad was like helping me to learn the basics of Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country and things. And I'd be curious to see if where siblings fit into that equation. If having like brothers or sisters to play with, if that, is something that proves to be helpful as opposed to playing alone, or if it like makes children hate each other and tears families apart.
Oh yeah.
A la Mario Party.
Yeah. Designed to kill friends.
Basically,
friendships.
I mean, I've talked on the show before about how, my brothers and I had to split up consoles and we were very possessive of our games. And I went out and bought all the games, and then my younger brother went out and bought the memory card.
Well, Kobayashi Maru'd your ass.
Yeah.
I had it down to a science. With my older brother, we would go go halvesies on games. Mm-hmm. And the way we set it up, it was like, all right, you can play it first when we get home. If I get to read the instruction manual on the way home.
Mm-hmm. Oh, instruction manual is the easiest there.
I love the instruction manuals, but we would get home. He would play first, and he wouldn't know what he was doing. He'd get frustrated, and he'd, like, oh, here, it's your turn. And one, I had watched all of his mistakes. Two, I had actually read the guide.
Yeah.
So I've been pretty good at it, if I just say so myself. And it would always get to a point where, like, I would just be the one who was advancing in the game faster, and he would see me do stuff before he had a chance. He's like, it's your game now.
That's brilliant. I like
leverage.
That. Another point for reading the instruction manual, which is the lost art. So the final thought that this article brought to me was it's actually the majority of the article is spent on and it's on Polygon, it's on a gaming site.
Yeah.
But the majority of the article is like, hey, here are some good thoughts on how to have educated conversations with your kids on games, and here are some good opportunities if you don't play games regularly. Here's some great places to start. And I just kind of read that and I thought, how many times have I seen some sort of allegation about video game violence, and the response from the video game community has been like, fuck you, dude, we're awesome, you suck. And, that's the long and short of it. And I just kind of read this article and went, man, this is really evolving the conversation. Like,
Yeah.
I feel reading it made me feel like we had matured as a medium to a point where we weren't just, reacting knee-jerk to this allegation of violence, but we were actually having a really great conversation around it and being very productive with it. So it was very heartening overall.
Two things about that. The age of the average gamer is going up every year. I think it's about 37 now, something like that. And also, like, we're wicked used to the internet now. Mm-hmm. And that was the source of a lot of the bile and vitriol before, it's the whole John Gabriel theory of internet decolery or something. Audience plus anonymity equals a dickhead.
Anarchy?
Well, yeah, just
you gotta
trolls.
stick with the alliteration, man.
Yeah, it's you subvert it. You subvert the expectations. But yeah, no, it just means we're like used to this thing now. And while those people still exist, there are more mature, older people who like know how to use this thing and know how to put that, voice to use so cooler heads can prevail. And you get stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Quick theater nerd thing. That's the career path that I'm on. If you want to read a cool play that's actually about kind of the online scare with parents and like MMOs, there's a play by Jennifer Haley called Neighborhood 3 Requisition of Doom that is actually, the script is written in the form of a walkthrough. And it's really interesting. It's kind of like horror story-esque. A lot of it is very much like worst case scenario reactionary. But it's a cool way to, get some literature in your life or something stupid. I don't know. Whatever, read a book.
Yeah.
Stop caring so much about games.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Again, going in the show notes.
It's funny on this podcast, whenever we mention something or some medium, I'll Google it and then just leave the page up. And so I just have this like string of pages at the end of every podcast that I then go through and experience all the things that we've been talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, really, nice we're doing this for ourselves, not for you.
Yeah, so shut up and go away.
Listener.
Why are you listening to us? That's weird, right?
No one should listen to us.
The grind.
So the grind. Tyler, you are our guest, so I'd like to volunteer you to begin.
Oh, I would love to be volunteered. I have been playing 3 games right now. The first, actually, as I'm sure everyone is sick of hearing about, is Dark Souls.
Woohoo!
On Kole and Gary and just about everyone on the Duckfeed network's recommendation, I picked that up in early December, and I've been playing through that, and it has been a wild ride. I am still pretty low on the learning curve, but I'm having a good time. And you'll actually be able to hear all about that. I'm going to be on an upcoming episode of Bonfire Side Chat with Gary and Kole. So
nice.
Yes.
I will save my goofus and gallant stories for that podcast. The big console game that I've been playing, I rarely buy new games because I do not have money. I work in the arts, and I did, though, go ahead and drop some dough on Far Cry 3.
Ooh.
I had been hearing some really cool reviews, some really nice coverage from Killscreen and Polygon, a lot of like discussion over, kind of the gaming journalism. This is, what is it saying about culture and violence?
What is game?
I don't know. A lot of stuff that's probably just kind of conjecture, but enough that I definitely was interested in it. And so I was like, hey, Christmas, I'm going to treat myself because I'm worth it. And I'm really enjoying it. First and foremost, I think I really like it as a a big game hunting and crafting simulator. I'm just making a ton of friendship bracelets for everyone on the island right now. We are total biffles at the end of this process. But it is about a kind of your typical 20-something bro, part of the millennial generation, like these middle to upper class kids who have kind of gone to college, but really just, like it's become a societal norm at this point, just like kind of hurdle jumping, not ready for the real world, kind of just vacation year between, undergrad and real life. And this Jason guy is kind of a thrill seeker. He's out with his friends and his brothers, and they do some extreme sports stuff at an island, and things go horribly wrong. And they wind up being kidnapped and all of this crazy stuff. And it's a neat progression because you start out the game and Jason is totally afraid of his own shadow. Like, there's some really quality voice acting in this game, which I appreciate as somebody who works with actors, and awful voice acting really can, like, turn me off on a game.
So it's not just Voss.
It's not just what?
Voss. That's the guy's. Like, been the star of the show for all the previews, and he's been excellent from what I can see. But it's not just him. Everyone's good.
Yeah, he is a command performance for sure. I thought you said boss. I was like, is Bruce Springsteen in this?
Like Metal Gear? I'm sorry, Metal Gear.
Codename Metal Gear? But no, Voss, he is fantastic. But the voice acting in general is pretty spot on. And Jason is one of the few like main characters in a game who narrates as you're going and talks to himself without it being obnoxious. It's all very kind of natural and flows pretty well, in my opinion. But you start off very much like you spend most of the first scene of the game basically sobbing and hyperventilating, and
as you do,
as who hasn't? I mean, come on, it's every morning. You start off the game very much like like somebody has a knife, but you go on and you quickly kind of like you have to numb yourself and you have to do these things to to be able to save your friends and your family. And the game has a good difficulty progression too, where you get it's not too long until you get to a point where you're like, whoa, I understand the mechanics of this game. I'm kind of a badass. Then it instantly throws you into a situation where like, well, not as good as I thought I was. That in every way conceivable. But I've really been enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. I'm not super far in, but I have yet to get bored with it. There's a lot of exploring that I will frequently find myself getting caught up in instead of going on to the main goals. Pro tip, something that helped me out a lot. Your first wallet that you have in the game, it's cool because you craft, like, you hunt animals and you skin their hides, and that's how you make your upgrades in the game to hold more weapons, hold more money, like ammo upgrades. Like, you craft yourselves these leather holsters and things like that. And for a little bit, until you get around more animals, your wallet might be kind of peaked at $1,000. And that kind of limits the weapons that you can buy. But you can get, or maybe it's $2,000. I don't know. It's a certain amount, but the bow and arrows, the compound bow is just enough that you can get it, and it is so good. It's very accurate, and it kills people, and it's very, very satisfying. The only thing that this is a problem I have with modern games in general as a poor person. But Dark Souls has the same problem where it has kind of like a fixed aspect ratio for the screen. And for somebody who is, living on their own, doesn't have a budget for a big screen TV or something, like I'm working off a little TV in the corner of my room, and it assumes that everybody has this big widescreen TV anymore. Yeah. So it shrinks all the text down that I have to be like sitting on TV.
That's inexcusable. I don't know.
It is really frustrating. I don't got that kind of Skrilla. I can't. What do you expect me to do, Far Cry? That is a great game. Definitely worth a. If not, I'll buy. I wouldn't be surprised if it like gets dropped down to a greatest hits price at some point. It's getting so many awards.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of attention. The premise sounds like a bad horror movie. Like it's the usual 80s premise of if you turn into a teenager, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
But then you get a spider tattoo and you become history's greatest monster. Is that about accurate?
Yeah, there are some people who are saying it's kind of like xenophobic and that like it trivializes tribal cultures and stuff like that. But it is very much like, I don't know, that's kind of, I feel like expecting a bit too much of games.
Yeah.
So actually,
action movie a lot. It's not trying to make, commentary on every single social structure.
Yeah,
it's
you can read that kind of stuff in anything, but
how millennials are douchebags, and hopefully they learn to like care for their family members.
I actually heard, and I don't think this can be a spoiler since I haven't played the game and have no idea whether or not it's true, but I heard someone advancing the theory that the entire tribe was in the protagonist's mind.
I don't know.
Like weird out there theory.
In the game so far, like there's a mission where you go to find some mushrooms and you accidentally wind up stepping on some spores that get you way high. And just visually, the game is very stunning at points. There's like kind of fever dream that you have that's really cool, and there's the drug cave scene, which has been like was one of the cooler visual scenes I played in the game in a long time.
Yeah.
So.
I was so excited for this game when it first came out, and then I kind of just, the more I saw, the more I was like, maybe it's not going to be as great as I thought it was going to be, and now I'm really excited for it again.
Yeah.
But I told myself I was going to buy XCOM next. I gotta push off Far Cry.
Is the shooting good?
The shooting's very good.
Okay.
It's pretty realistic. I don't know. I don't shoot guns. I have to ask my brother. But shooting isn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is easy in that it's like it's not hard to aim in a certain direction. It's not hard to like the controls don't take any time to really figure out. But it is realistic and like, okay, if you're holding up a pistol, you're not going to have some magical zoom thing. You're just going to have a pistol.
Right.
If you have like a sniper rifle, yes, it's going to make things easier, but it's pretty like, I feel like they make a kill, not impossible, but not easy. It's a good kind of balance of making it like knowing like what you can do. Like, okay, if I get this close, I know I can hit that person.
Right.
But it's also hard enough that it's satisfying when you actually like take 3 people out in a row because that they're gonna, realistically set off an alarm.
Yeah. Do the weapons kind of degrade and break over time?
No, not that I've seen yet. I don't. Be sure there's no repairing. There's just upgrading that you can do.
Is it true you can throw a rock at a tiger to get him angry so it'll kill an entire camp of people?
Yes, it is great. Mapped to the right button on your D-pad is just the entire game throw a rock. It's like a grenade arc. And you can throw it to like get animals angry. You can throw it usually to try and catch people's attention.
Yeah.
To get them to move into paths where you can like kind of take them out quietly. But there are some pretty tough animals that if you find one in a cage in a map, like it's usually a good idea to set it free. But chances are it'll kill you. Also, there are these freaking birds. I think they're cassowaries. They're these big black birds with blue heads. I think they were in Fern Gully. But you see those things, you run away real fast because they will F you up.
Huh.
They will down like nobody's business. And I guess they are like actually super aggressive birds that hunt in packs.
Yeah.
Ostrich looking
Average
things
Hiscock.
F you up. Like I will hear their squawking and I will instantly turn the opposite direction.
No, not the eyes. Yeah.
It's like the creeper of the Far Cry world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm really curious about this game myself. I think I've pegged it at about like once it hits $30, I'll get it. Kind of like with Spec Ops: The Line. So I'm definitely happy to hear a positive message about this that isn't from somebody on Idle Thumbs. So yes,
I have, and I feel like my purchase has been justified as someone who knew that they were going into like a guilty pleasure, like luxury buy.
Yeah,
Nice.
neat. What was your third game?
My third game was, I have been playing this for a long time on the Nintendo 3DS. Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked.
One more time, please.
Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked.
Okay, there are 3 colons in that title.
Overclocked.
Actually, just put like 20 colons in your search bar.
Okay, it'll come up. Okay, search for 20 Oh no. Okay, yeah.
Ooh. Should have thought.
It is it's part of the Persona series. I'm not into the Persona mythos or anything like that. But what it is it's a good tactics game. It's very much in kind of like the Final Fantasy Tactics bent of things, where you have characters that you deploy, and it's very much a grid, and you can get upgrades for movement and stuff like that. But the 2 things I really like about it is, one, you actually, every time you attack someone, it goes into like a 1-round random encounter from like a typical RPG, where you have like your 3 party members, and you select your attacks, and if you do certain things in it, you can get like 1 extra move per round. But it's very much like, it has the strategy aspect of a tactics game, but also kind of the like battle control finesse of a typical RPG, which I really like. And then also, I am a sucker for any game where you can like breed demons or monsters.
Yeah.
Like, I loved Dragon Warrior Monsters back on the Game Boy.
Hence the love for Pokemon, right?
But yeah, I love them Pokemans. As soon as they release one where I can just like chop them into pieces and make my own horrible Frankensteins.
Well, I was actually curious about the title Pokemon X and Y, to go back to that, because it made it sound like it was going to be about breeding, like chromosomes, you know?
I can only hope it's that and not them just completely running out of
Pokemon Alpha and Gamma. What? Ugh.
on this and that. Pokemon thing 1 and thing 2.
Pokemon his and hers.
Pokemon Kid and Play.
Pokemon, it's a game, and it's also a game.
Pokemon $60 from you, and Pokemon $60 more from you.
Yes. But Devil Survivor, so is it like a Persona where you have a demon friend who inhabits your head?
You have more. You don't have one that inhabits your head. You have like a number that you can summon. Like any given party is like you and 2 demons. Like the player character, who has their own attacks and stuff like that and can use magic, and then 2 demons who have like attributes and abilities and stuff like that. And you can the way it goes is like, at different levels, you'll be able to buy demons from an auction system, actually, where you bid against other people, and more expensive demons are going to run for higher prices. Better ones. More expensive ones will run for higher prices. How
So novel.
Those, and then if you beat one, it will become available for you to buy in the auction as well. But it's very cool to find one, like, pick attributes you like and transfer them into like the demon that you create by fusing 2 together. But also, it's really cool to be like, oh wow, if I put these 2 together, I'm gonna get this like big snake monster thing. And just like, the character art is pretty cool, and I'm the kind of guy who likes to figure out every kind of combination until I get, the like god awful golem with 75.
Oh, dude, have you? It's like a little app game. I'm sure I could find it for free somewhere. But it's like Earth, Wind, Air, Fire. Have you ever heard of that?
A band. You're thinking of the band Earth, Wind, Water, Fire.
No. This also good, but not what I'm thinking of here. It's a game where you start with literally 4 elements on your screen that you get an unlimited quantity of, and then if you mix like earth and wind, you'll get dust, or if you mix earth and water, you'll get mud. And then you've got that element, mud, to mix with earth, wind, air, or fire. And you just keep on doing these different combinations. And it's got something like, hundreds of thousands of different unique items that you can get just by making different combinations of those 4 elements and the elements that come from those 4 elements.
That sounds really cool. I would waste a lot of time with that.
I did waste a lot of time with that.
It's also, I remember playing this, it's sometimes known as Elements.
That might be it, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the games that I have been playing. My only problem with Shin Megami Tensei is that it definitely gets to a point towards the end game where like bosses are just like unbelievably hard. I am definitely at the point where I'm going to have to look up a FAQ or something to figure out how to kill God. Because so far, I have not been able to crack the code. Like I've been reading some Nietzsche, but it's not.
Damn it. You took my joke. No.
Well, that's the goal. Head you off at the pass.
Well, no, I tend to make easy jokes. Blah. Cool. That sounds good. Here's a question about, whoa, my earphones are going crazy because I'm looking for stuff for show notes. No. Have you played Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey at all?
I have not.
Okay. That's like wizardry, but with demons. Like you're like in an underground Antarctic base, and you're walking around in this maze kind of place, doing turn-based battles. It's first person, and like in older versions, you had to like make your own map.
Okay,
yeah, it's on DS and stuff.
I'll definitely have to check that out because
Yes.
I'm definitely getting into the Persona side of things, and I've heard so much good stuff about Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah,
I really wish they would just release even just the PS2 Persona 4 on PSN at this point, because it's like something that's worth playing.
Yeah.
Is it only on Vita then?
Yeah, it's only on Vita, the Golden. It's PS2 and Vita right now. I think they have Persona 3 on the PSN store.
Yes.
But that's like the crazy one with school students who like shoot themselves in the head in order to summon demons, which probably isn't helping with the gun discussion.
No. Persona 4 is kind of neat. They go into a TV at night, and it's like a strange, like Twin Peaks kind of world. Yeah, it's a good game. So cool. Do you mind if I go? Because I only have like a couple of small things.
I actually have a couple small things too, but yeah, please go ahead.
First off, just old business, Binding of Isaac. Been playing that a little bit because it's a nice game to play over lunch at work or things like that. Still really good. I will say the game is not as random as it would have you believe. Like, yeah, it's kind of like a die roll every time you go into a world, like what you're going to get. But I find that the more games I play, the more good items I get. So yeah, that is a really good, fun game. And when you get on a roll, it's really, really fun because you're on a roll.
Watching Gary's playthroughs on the Watch Out for Fireball page, because it's one of those kind of games that I enjoy, but I'm still pretty awful at, and it's impressive seeing someone have like a really good run, seeing exactly like how much of the game can be played.
to know that it is possible. I mean, that's like part of like the psychology of video games. The psychology of video games.
Yes,
No, just like
psychology business major expert voice person.
But if you are having trouble with a boss, all you have to do is turn off the sound, and barring any kind of like sound cue that's necessary, or turn down the music, because they make the boss music as tense as possible. It psychs you out. So if you get rid of that, it turns into something that's a little bit more manageable. Second off, if you're having a lot of trouble, you can look at a video of somebody beating that thing. So like, yeah.
The other technique is to picture the boss in their underwear.
Yes.
Yeah. The other technique is be better at games.
You baby. Be better at games, baby. And then spit. Yes. But yeah, Binding of Isaac, actually it was Gary's videos that kind of got me into it. I was casual about it at first, but then I saw his good run and I was like, oh, that's how it works. And he does a really good job on those of explaining some stuff about the game that's inscrutable unless you dive into a wiki.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. I was like, oh, It's like items that do things.
Yeah.
What to predict this game.
Yeah. I'm not going to dive into a wiki because who knows where to start, So yeah, that's valuable. It's a great game. It never goes for any more than like $5 for the game and the expansion. So a hearty recommendation from me and us and everybody. It also plays on pretty much everything. It plays on a Mac too, which is great for me. Man, because I was light this week, most of my free time, like the stuff that would have been game time, I've spent reading comics actually.
Hey-o,
so
nice.
Yeah. So I finished.
What have you been reading?
I finished the entire new X-Men, so all of Grant Morrison's run. So that was good. I picked up The Walking Dead. I'm about halfway through the first compendium of that. I'm also continuing my journey through the Dark Tower comics. Those ones there. And I also picked up the first trade paperback of Saga.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I love comics, but I'm the kind of guy who I have to sit down and binge a series because I cannot handle waiting for new issues to come out. I'll probably have to read. China Millvale is one of my favorite sci-fi authors, and he's doing Dial H for DC's new 52.
Oh yeah,
right now. And I read the first couple, and I was like, these are really cool and interesting, but they also take 5 minutes for me to read, and I can't wait another month for the next one. So I'm just gonna wait it out.
Yeah, that's how I'm with TV shows. The only TV show I watch live is Breaking Bad. But yeah.
See, I must be the polar opposite because I got some of the Dark Tower comics from Kole, and I won't even finish one of the little mini books in a sitting. I'll just kind of sit down, I'll read a little bit, and maybe 1 or 2 pages, and then put it down, and then come back to it later in the day, and realize I lost my place. So I'll just kind of flip through and then look at some of the art that I had kind of breezed through before and be like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's really neat. And then,
I'm Dennis. I'm a mature adult.
I can be only partially interested in something. Smash.
Yeah, so I've never really read comic books before, so that seems to be the way I'm going about it.
Yeah, but that's where my time has been spent. I've got the second Walking Dead compendium on the way, and also some of the Joss Whedon X-Men are coming here soon, and then we'll see from there. But in order to have some content for the show, I'm going to dip back a couple weeks about something I played that I didn't talk about. There's a Flash game. It's a browser game called Elude, Elude. To evade. It was made in conjunction. It was like a joint project between Singapore, the government of Singapore, or their psychological association, and MIT. They made a games lab called Gambit, and this is a game that was designed to explain how depression feels to a culture that doesn't acknowledge its existence. For them, just there's no such thing as depression, except that it is a thing such as depression because that's a thing that people go through. And this takes the place. You play as a dude, and you're walking through a forest, and it's a little a little platformer. So you're walking around, and you have a button that sends out an aura, and you activate birds as they fly by, and you make your way upwards, and then once you get up through the canopy of the trees, you're soaring through the air, and the music is happy and bright and everything. But if you miss a leaf, going up, kind of doodle jump, you fall down past the forest, down underground, and everything is dark and gloomy and everything. And you're trying to platform your way around these tunnels, but try not to get stuck in mud. And if you go under in the quicksand, the game ends, and then it charts kind of your progress as you go. This was a good time. This was a depressive time. And at the end saying what would have happened, saying so yeah, that whole emotional journey that you went on, it's kind of neutral and, things like that. Then this kind of manic phase, then the depression is kind of that's kind of what it feels like. And it was a really interesting
that sounds really cool. I can really get behind that.
Yeah.
Philosophically, and also it sounds like a really cool project.
Definitely. It's fantastic. I would recommend that everybody go and check it out. I mean, it's free. I'll put a link in the show notes. But yeah, it's fantastic. The art is great. The music is really great. It's just it's a solid thing all around.
That's really cool. I think that's kind of the big divide that everyone's trying to figure out how to gap is I can tell you how it felt. I can show you how it felt. I can, do all these things, but I don't think anyone's cracked how to make you feel how something felt.
Yeah.
Understand to feel something that you haven't directly experienced yourself. Mm-hmm. And so that we see that happening in games on this level is really, really cool.
Yeah. It's a fantastic thing. I mean, it's kind of couched in this idea that, by doing something and by kind of like being forced to experience it, at least in some kind of abstracted way, it gives you a little bit of insight into what it is. So yeah, it's definitely really neat. I know I've said this a couple of thousand times. I found out about it on Video Games Hot Dog, and then I played it and I ruminated on it. I shared it with a couple of people at work, and then I didn't talk about it here, but it seems like a good thing for us to know about here. And serious games, that's like a thing. Like when I was going to school, we had a class where we talked a lot about, serious games. And, there was one that I played that was like, here's what it's like to live in, Darfur, like going out for water and being hunted down by, roving death squads. And that actually goes into another one that I've been playing. That's also a serious game, a real downer, actually. It's called Cart Life.
Haven't heard of it.
Yes.
I keep nodding and realizing that no one can see me do it.
It's fine. You guys record with the Google Hangouts, right?
Yeah, we do videos on my podcast because we would constantly talk over each other otherwise if we didn't have like a lot of eyebrow raises.
We just kind of deal with the talking over. But yeah, Cart Life. Have you heard about it, Tyler?
No, I have not.
No.
I've heard of carts, I have heard of life.
Yes.
I have yet to dare to combine the two.
Not to be confused with Life Kart, which is a kart racing game that it's you in a go-kart. No, it's it's an independent game. It's free. It's like donationware. It runs on Windows. So I had to play it on my crappy other laptop. Think Lemonade Stand mixed with a poverty simulator.
Ooh.
Okay.
So
I can see how that would be a downer.
Yeah, a little bit. It's it's pixelated, kind of monochrome. You play as one of three characters. I've only done like one guy's scenario first. One guy, he's a Ukrainian immigrant who came over with nothing but his cat and his smoking habit and $2,000 to run a newspaper stand. Like to get out, to get his life back on track. The other one is a single mom, trying to take care of her kid while running a coffee, like a coffee stand. So since I'm playing as the Ukrainian guy, you show up, you stop by, from the guy you're buying the stand from, you give away like $1,500 of your dollars. You give away more of it to get like your first, your first stock. And then like, oh, well, I need to go find a place to live. So you go to a shithole hotel and like, okay, rent is this much. And then, your goal is to try and afford an apartment. And so, it's a life sim. So you have to manage the time in a day too. So when you're working, time is passing. At the start of the day, you have to stock up the newspaper stand, which is done. Most everything is done actually by typing. So like as you're like cutting the band off, you say, I cut the plastic, then you have to type it out. And if you mess up, you cut one of the papers and, oh, you can't sell it, but you bought it. So you lost money. And then like I'm folding the papers. So, make sure to crease it nice. You have to type that out. If you make a typo, you rip it. And it's like, oh, that's another one I lost. You're putting it on the shelf. Make sure they're organized. Type that out. And, however much time you take, it's better to get it done so you can make more money in a day. And like, so when you're done, you have to be like, you have a hunger meter, you have a sleep meter, you have, since he's a nicotine addict, he has a smoke meter. So you have to be able to afford your smokes, and also be able to afford your cart rent and afford, restocks. You go around to different restaurants to big box stores. If you decide you want to sell like coffee, you have to get like a coffee machine, coffee filters, all this kind of stuff. And they're like little scenarios too. So like you come back and on the, I believe it was like the third day of my scenario, get back to the hotel room and my cat got away. So instead of sleeping that night, I had to go look for my cat.
Not worth it. Not worth it.
Oh man, that sounds like such a complete downer.
Yeah,
like that is something that I could see myself playing and then like being super bummed out, but also really thankful. I guess.
Yeah,
probably a bit guilty too for how much I just take for granted.
Yeah, and it's definitely a perspective check. In a way that I don't, and it's not. It's not maudlin about it. I mean, yeah, it is entirely in grayscale, and bad stuff happens to good people. But like, the characters have personalities, and you can succeed. It's just kind of like, okay, am I going to buy coffee filters or am I going to buy food? Or I'm going to feed my cat instead of me, or I'll suffer the coughing from not having my smokes in order to be able to. I won't take that smoke break. So it's a bunch of stuff like that where it forces these decisions, and there's so much writing, there's so many assets, there's so much art. They do a lot with kind of the music and the visual style and palette to communicate what needs to be communicated. It's fantastic. It's a really good game. I wouldn't like dive too far into it because it will bum you out, everything in moderation, including depressing media. But yeah.
Can I play off that for a second?
Yes,
to make
you
a
may.
recommendation?
Yes.
Yeah, just statement in general. I think that it's a lot of kind of the art flash games are really, really kind of coming into their own these days.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely gotten to a point where a lot of kind of like the serious flash games out there are having some like really cool philosophical statements, like some really cool purposes to them. It's just, and I think that people are finally getting to the point too, like definitely not the masses, but there are people who are willing to see a flash game and take it as more than just like a boredom buster.
Yeah.
That they're like, okay,
monkey anymore.
Yeah. Although gaming, oh man, that was good. But there was, just people who can go and look at a flash game and kind of take it for like, all right, this is someone who just wants to make it very accessible, not like this is a leisure activity and something I should take less seriously because it's free. But there is a game that is another huge bummer, but I gotta mention it. It's called, and I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, it's Gaelic, but it's Oich Mahaith. It's OICHE space MHAITH. It means good night in Gaelic. And it was Terry Kavanagh actually helped with it. And it is a game, it's a top-down 8-bit kind of RPG type thing, although it's more of, it kind of becomes a puzzle game halfway through. It's more just kind of telling a story through that medium. And it is about a little girl who is in a very abusive Irish family. Just like really terrible parents, a brother who isn't present. You kind of just hear him mentioned in the beginning. And a lot of it is kind of like, it's another game that's looking into, how those kind of relationships can be very destructive to children, but also how sometimes people can become like addicted to those relationships if they don't know anything better.
Right. And
how it can kind of craft people's thinking. And it's very simple, some really like very simple music, but like well-timed music, very simple graphics, but playing it was probably the most profoundly uncomfortable, but also just kind of like thought-provoked I've been by a game a long time. And the ending, when you finally like figure out how to beat it, is one that's like, wow, that makes you think. So I don't want to spoiler it too much because it's super short. It's like maybe 10 minutes to beat, but it's another one of those like arguments for like, okay, how can games serve as like psychological, like educational tools, and also as kind of like mini art projects.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
I heard the thought, and I can't remember where, but that it's kind of game is almost a misnomer for this medium because it implies that the core mechanic needs to be fun.
Yeah.
And the core thing engaging you needs to be fun when really there's so much depth out there for ways to be engaged in a quote unquote game that are not necessarily fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more of kind of an interactive narrative
Yeah.
than anything else.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Reminds me of Papo EO, which is a PSN game made by a guy, is Portuguese, hence the title, trying to detail like what his relationship with his his alcoholic father was like.
Yeah.
And he had to like feed him, I guess. Like it was a little boy and a big monster. He followed around, and he had to feed the monster candy. But when he got the candy, he was angry. And it was kind of like exploring that dynamic. Yeah,
it's kind of like imagine that only stripped down 8-bit and not really caring at all about gameplay.
Right.
Like it's like I don't have to try and make this fun at all because like Papo and Yo, is that what it is? Is like there's like, yes, it is saying some really kind of serious stuff, but also it's like, well, we also have a fun game mechanic here to pull you along.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I need to play this game because it sounds really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because
being sad is cool.
Yeah, all the cool kids are crying.
Come on, Dark Moon Goths forever.
And finally, Dennis.
Yeah, so I too have mostly games that I've talked about early on the show. Dark Souls, of course, and Bit.Trip Runner, which I think I kind of mentioned as an afterthought on one of the previous shows, is like a cute little game. I can't stop playing it, guys. This is seriously getting dangerous.
Fun fact, Animaniguchi contributes music to those games full circle.
Oh.
Well, I officially hate them because I get so happy when I do well, and then when I accidentally fall down and all the music resets, I get very, very sad, and I have to play again until I get the music better. So
yeah, that's basically what the concerts are like: very high highs and then very low lows while you wait for that. because you realize that everyone around you has like a Stinder stash and hasn't showered for months.
Yeah,
and then there's this like weird part towards the end of the concert where the music stops and these janitors come out. And then the police come and they put you in the back. It's performance art. It's weird.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like
punk rock.
It's so simple and it's so addicting, and I don't know why I'm enjoying it so much and playing it so much, but I can't stop.
One-button games.
There's that. And then the game that I don't think I've talked about on the show yet that I've been playing and really enjoying is Anomaly Warzone Earth. Mm-hmm. Does that sound familiar to anyone?
Yeah. Refresh my memory, but I feel like I know this game.
It is the reverse tower defense game, is the best way I can explain it. Where you serve you've got a caravan essentially of units that you are trying to get from one side of the map to the other, and there's multiple routes that you can take, and there's towers lining the city blocks and all over the place, and you kind of have to decide the best route for your caravan to take, and then also kind of strategically drop power-ups along the way to give them like to boost their defense at the right time or to distract the towers at the right time to get them all through. Mm-hmm. And it's actually a really interesting twist. I'm on the record as completely just hating tower defense games. I really like reverse tower defense though. It's kind of fun. The game is very, very British. Everyone in the game has a British accent, and all their references are for like the RAF and it's British military. I don't know what you call it, the King's Forces or something. Right. But the weird thing is that even the Japanese guy has a British accent. It is actually one of the, I'm sure not intentional, but one of the funnier parts of the game is
alive and well.
Yeah. But the second half takes place in Tokyo, and the person who drops your power-ups is Japanese. and it just has the funniest, most like, I can't decide if it's racist or just well intentioned and poorly executed. It's hilarious though.
Is it like a pidgin Japanese accent, or is it British?
Yes, it's very much like, oh, here is power.
Oh boy, you.
But with a British accent mixed in there somewhere.
Wow.
So it is.
Way to go, guys.
Yeah.
You done it.
Good job. Voice acting is not a strong suit of this game, but it's been really, really fun to play. The story is actually surprisingly interesting. Like just the concept that they bring to the game. And I think that this is one of those things where I've said it before, but a lot of times the stories in video games are cooler in concept than in the actual execution. So, like if you play, or if someone were to watch you play the opera scene from Final Fantasy VI, you're kind of like watching it and be like, this is really stupid and annoying, and what the hell is going on? This doesn't make much sense. But to talk about the concept of, oh, hey, you have to get on stage and impromptu take care of this, opera scene, and then battle in the rafters above the opera as it's going on and all this stuff. That's really cool. The concept is really cool, but it's almost cooler to tell your friends about than to have your friends watch you do. And I think Anomaly, Warzone Earth kind of fits in that area where it's like a really cool concept for a story. Not the best executed, a la the voice acting, but still really fun to play.
So is it like what's the universe? Is it like sci-fi Earth kind of thing?
Yeah, sci-fi. Like it's modern day with the cutting edge technology. So you've got your regular tanks alongside a couple of walking tanks.
Yeah.
Alongside a completely normal APC alongside a plasma thrower. So it's kind of that present day +1 kind of setting.
Yeah. So,
plus dating aliens that apparently only have.
I was waiting for the aliens. So that was actually my next question.
It is.
Is there a point in the game where the scene from Independence Day where the White House is blown up is reenacted?
Yes.
And then a crop duster flies into the middle of the mothership and destroys it. Spoiler alert.
He's sipping tea while he does it and has a monocle.
Excellent.
Also Starship Troopers. But this is PlayStation exclusive?
False. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
If you don't mind me doing some shameless self-promotion, gentlemen, but the reason why I know about this game, and I just went and I checked it, is I accidentally won a free copy of it for Xbox 360 to redeem in the Xbox store. Little did the people awarding me this realize that I didn't have a 360. So that code has just been kind of sitting around. And unless it has expired, I would be more than happy to give it to the first person to go and like Ninjas versus Podcast on Facebook and send a message asking for it.
Hey, that is perfectly acceptable.
That's
Ninjas versus Podcast VS versus period. So just check it out. It's no big deal. It's just a podcast, and hopefully the message will be noticed first by me and not by Jordan or Kevin, who have no idea what you're talking about. Scratch that. I really hope they get it. They have no idea what you're talking about.
No, but it's a game worth playing, so it's a good thing to give away. That's a really good idea.
Cool.
Yeah. Everything I saw about it made me wish that I really had it for a system that I actually owned.
Right.
Yeah, it's also got like a nice little. You kind of have to balance. So it costs the same amount to upgrade a unit as it does to buy a new version of that unit. And you also get shield units, which can shield the unit on either side of them. Everything's traveling in a line, but can't shield anything else. So there's also this kind of great little balancing act going on of, do I give myself more worse protected and weaker units versus just really putting something on either side of a shield generator and just powering them up to be absolute beasts. So there's a nice little balancing aspect and squad management aspect to it as well.
What has been your flavor of choice? What is your kind of attack plan for most things?
I roll with 2 shielded tanks, and then which are kind of like your heavily armored, slow firing units at the front of my line, and then so there's a tank, a shield, a tank. So both the tanks have shields and can do a lot of damage and take a lot of damage. And then I put the other. You only get 6 slots, so the remaining 3 slots I do unshielded crawlers, which are your long range weaker units. So it's worked pretty well for me so far.
Nice. Some pro tips.
I was looking this up, and I'm actually disappointed to see that this is the case. There's a game made by Double Fine called Iron Brigade, formerly known as Trenched, but it is Xbox. Yeah. It is Xbox Live only.
I have played that game with friends, and it is good.
Is it the same kind of concept?
Good.
It is the freeform jazz version of tower defense, kind of like what you're saying here. So it takes that, like everybody running on a path kind of thing, and turns it a little bit. So you're commanding units, but you're also, when you are like taking your turn and actually doing this, you inhabit that unit and fire the turret itself.
It's like it's tower defense meets like mech assault.
Yeah,
because you are actually like rolling around in your mech, which you have like 2 cannons to fire for each of the triggers, and you can take down units on your own, but you also like are placing turrets and stuff as you run around the map.
Oh, so nice. Okay.
Kind of like you have to figure out where to place turrets and stuff and where to upgrade turrets, but you can also upgrade yourself in a way to serve as a specific kind of turret and just like lock yourself down somewhere on the map.
What Brutal Legend was to RTS, this is to tower defense.
No, that makes sense. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I should warn that squad loadout, just since you were looking for pro tips, was before I unlocked the plasma launcher, and I haven't had a chance to experiment with that yet. So, there's that.
Throw it all in the garbage.
Well, it's kind of like when you're teaching somebody martial arts, you know 30 different ways to kill a person. You only teach them 29 because you might have to use it against them.
That's true.
Agreed. So, unrelated, you can cut it out, but I actually. If I can still find them, I forget where I placed them, but I have some codes for free versions of the Rayman Jungle Run app / game that I've actually been playing. Oh yeah, hey, that's the other thing I've been playing. I've been playing. I won't talk about it this episode, but it's really good. It's really fun, and since you're doing the code thing with our podcast, I'm sure we could figure out a way to do a similar quid pro quo.
Yeah,
in reverse.
I'd love to do that. I can definitely, on the next episode of NVP, mention like, hey, go onto the level like them and send them a message saying NVP sent you for the Rayman contest.
Cool.
There you go. So do that.
Yay, cross promotion.
Hooray.
Huzzah.
So do we want to move on to multiplayer? We have 2 questions from the audience.
That is what I have been playing. So let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Multiplayer.
So the multiplayer this week, instead of giving you a specific prompt to talk to us about, we decided to field your questions, and we got 2 good ones in. Maybe 2 with one sub question. 70 questions.
Good, 2 good ones.
Well, the wheat from the chaff, et cetera, et cetera. None of you are chaff. You're all wheat. Every one of you is wheat.
You're the best roughage imaginable.
So
except for you. You know who you are.
Isn't that right, Steve? But
I hate that guy, and he knows exactly what he did.
John Lennon did that. He did that on a TV show. Like, they were talking, and then he looked directly into the camera and said, "Isn't that right, Steve?" with the explicit purpose of freaking anybody out who was named Steve, thinking that he was talking to them.
Oh, that is the best.
So that would be cool, except for Chris Angel did the same thing at the beginning, like at every commercial break of his show, because I forget where. It was when I was interning in Chicago, and I saw Chris Angel episodes for the first time, and yeah. Well, it's like, I'm going to commercial, but first, was this your card? And it's like, no, but I'm sure 1/52nd of us are very impressed.
Oh man! So you're saying that his thing was so uncool that it retroactively made John Lennon uncool?
I think that's fair.
Okay.
I had a friend, Sean Caldwell. He got a job as a news anchor in like a local TV station, and so he had some leeway with like little jokes that they could do on the air. And my friend group would always have a Festivus party, which they would go to, and he sent them this video on the day of the party, and it was like, "Hey guys, make sure you watch this as a group." And it was a tape of him live, going like, "Oh, today Seinfeld fans are celebrating Festivus," and his co-host was like, "Do you have any grievances you want to air?" He's like, "Yeah, just one. Seth Byler. I hate that guy." Knows exactly what he did.
That is fantastic.
Seth was there watching it, and everybody lost their shit.
That's brilliant.
Oh wow, that's great. So that and other stories. No, that's awesome. He probably...
Well, that's been Fireside Chat with 11. Come back next week when we update you on how the boys are doing overseas.
Oh man, video games. Yes. I don't even have the energy in me to do the voice, so I will proceed. Man, everybody's asking me. Like we have people coming to us, knocking on the door, like to do videos in that voice.
Really?
Anyway.
Well, your disappointment.
But yes, let's see here. So Jeffrey Lawton, Geolaw as we refer to him.
Geodude. He's the best.
Did he identify himself with Geodude in his first email?
He is. I think he found out about Duckfeed from our podcast. He's a big fan of the show. Personal friend, actually, lives in Pittsburgh, but met him through the show, which was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But we had no idea how his name is pronounced because it's spelled like Geoffrey.
Yeah, Joffrey.
But it is actually pronounced Jeffrey.
Okay.
I found this out only because I had dinner with him once. And he, but in like the months leading up to any of us actually talking to him, we were just like, yeah, G-Unit, Geodude, G-Man, whatever. Geofry.
Yeah. Huh.
He's the best.
I like Geolaw, though. He's a cool guy. He's a really active participant. But he asked, what's your favorite game of all time? That is a tough question. It's
cut to the chase, Jeffrey.
Yes, be more direct. I mean,
beat around the bush.
It is Twitter. Give him a little slack.
Yeah, it's the high fidelity problem. Like,
yeah, John Cusack is here, and he's just really depressed, even though he's had like 70 girlfriends.
He's knocking Tim Robbins' teeth out. Jack Black is there doing his crazy thing.
But it's all going to work out in the end. Spoiler alert. Gonna find some punk kids and produce their cassette.
Yeah, it's going to be a DJ again. We just know it. But it is the high fidelity problem. All kidding aside, where it's difficult to name a top one, and you are more likely to have like a rotating top 5 in no particular order. So
stop pussyfooting around. I had this one ready to go.
Oh, jeez.
Do it. You
go. If you're so tough.
Yeah. So my favorite game of all time today, with the criteria of game that I have probably gotten the most joy out of, is Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy.
Oh yeah.
which is one of the first, really that whole series. But if I had to pick one, Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy, a game was one of the first games I got for the PS2. Had no context for what it was going in. Literally bought it based on the box art. And it is just like such a delightful game. I can't tell you the number of times that I've gone back and played it in part or in whole. And it's just like a platformer in the purest sense. It's the first game I played where really the world was just one big expansive level. There are no loading screens in it. It's like, I'm sure they're disguised in like, elevators and stuff like that. But it felt so huge to me the first time that I played it, and like to just be like, oh, what's this over here? It looks like there's a little bit of a crag in the rocks and I can fit through, and oh my God, there's a whole nother level. And the entire game is that sort of journey of discovery. Plus the Jak and Daxter universe and characters and all that are just very near and dear to my heart. So easily that's my favorite game of all time.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Tyler?
I'm gonna have to go back and play that because I got into like the PlayStation era of things late enough that I wasn't part of that bandwagon. I was the Nintendo guy for a long time.
They've got a HD collection out now, which is great. But my retirement fund is the fact that I got the Jak and Daxter movie promotion disc.
What?
I have no idea how many was made. It was between, so there's Jak and Daxter, Jak 2, Jak 3, and then Jak X Racing, which is actually a really quality kart racing game. Go figure. But in between Jak 3 and before Jak X came out, I randomly found this thing on Naughty Dog's site that was like, hey, send us your email and we'll send you Jak and Daxter the movie. And it's like various cutscenes from all three games weaving the story from all the games together and narrated by Daxter with like a unique kind of text that isn't in any of the games. So it's him kind of voicing over or giving the details in between things that you would have normally gotten by playing the missions. And then the game also has a demo on it for Jak X Racing and kind of sets up what's going to happen next. Which was just the coolest thing when I found it and got in the mail and played it. But I have no idea how many of those are out there. But I'm keeping it in the back pocket for the retirement.
Please don't keep it in your back pocket, though. It's going to get scratched to hell.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
It'll be warped by your body heat.
Yeah, but you can get it as a PS3 HD remake.
Yeah.
And
it's the same people who did Uncharted, right? Naughty Dog?
That is Naughty Dog. It's what Naughty Dog did between Crash and Uncharted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That is a pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to find my favorite game to date. I don't think technology is up to snuff yet. I'm still very single. So if there are any ladies out there, oh God, please put me out of my misery. But actually, it is kind of a flip back and forth thing. Earthbound is definitely up there. Mm-hmm. And like I've voiced that opinion before. Plug for the Watch Out for Fireballs episode of Earthbound. I think they get at the heart of a lot of why it is a very cool game. But I think the one that I keep coming back to actually is Final Fantasy IX. It was another kind of scope thing for me, and it's also like just tied up a lot in kind of my development growing up. My family, like we weren't poor, but we didn't have, a ton of money. Like I definitely wasn't one of those families where like your parents would buy you games all the time. And I, was always kind of focused on school and doing well in school, that I never had really the time for like a part-time job. And my parents were like, we want you to do schoolwork and not like worry about working while you're in school. Well, for like, elementary and middle school and stuff like that, and most of high school too. But I had a rich friend named Sean who was the exact opposite, whose like parents bought his affection with video games all the time. And I would go over to his house and play a lot of his games because he would always have the brand new stuff. And I remember like the first time I saw Final Fantasy IX, I was blown away because I was like, this thing is, because I would super get into the narratives of games because I'm a book nerd, but it was like, this game is 4 discs long and it has this like big universe and it's an RPG like my favorite games, Earthbound and Super Mario RPG. That is super cool and it's like fantasy and magic, just like all the books I like. And I remember that it was kind of like an idol of gaming for me all this time, is like this kind of really cool thing that I could never have. Because my family was like, all right, you like every once in a while we'll get you the new Nintendo system. And like you can, you know, save up your meager allowance and stuff to get games every once in a while. But like Final Fantasy, when that left Nintendo, like I had never really played Final Fantasy. It wasn't until later in my life that I played the Super Nintendo Final Fantasy. But I went over to Sean's house and I played like the game at his house some, but never enough to like get through it. I went over to his house and he was a slob and I'm pretty OCD. So invariably whenever we hung out, I would wind up cleaning his room. And just because I was like, I want to like feel like I can be comfortable spending time with you. And that means like not sitting on a pile of Coke cans.
I did the same thing with my cousin who I played video games with, actually.
He was super slovenly.
Yes.
But I would clean up his room, and because he was rich and, you know, always had the hip new thing, there would be a lot of times where I'd just find something and I'd be like, do you even want this? I'd be like, no, you can have it. And so I got so much like cool clothes that way. I got a box full of Yo-Mega yo-yos at one point. Just like super sweet stuff. But there was one point where I actually found his PlayStation 2. And I was like, why is this, you know, in a corner of the room, like under a bunch of junk? And he was like, oh, it's broken. I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, you can have it if you want it. And I was like, okay. And he's like, here, and you can, I've traded in most of my games, but I still have Final Fantasy IX.
Ooh.
And so he gave it to me, and I took the system home. Turns out all it needed was a new AV cable and some like Gooby Gone for the disc tray, which somehow got like jelly in it.
Well, he's a slob.
Yeah, and it was like I sat down and I finally had a chance to play through this game, and I just got completely sucked into it. And I got all the way to the end, and then my brother deleted my save. And then I started over again, and I got all the way to the end. And I remember it was actually one of my like first quote-unquote dates. And the girl was getting dropped off at my house so that we could like go somewhere else afterwards. And I was playing Final Fantasy IX, and I finally beat the game. And Final Fantasy IX, for anyone who hasn't played it, like it is not like 7 or 8 where it's like, it's going to be this gritty cyberpunk world and everything's awful and everybody dies. It's just like, hey, it's going to be magic and knights, and like the message is the power of friendship. And as somebody like who grew up with not a ton of friends, I was like, that sounds like the best thing ever. And so I got to the end of the game, the final cutscene is playing, like she comes into the house. And my bedroom didn't even have a door because it used to be like a laundry room. But I just realized that she is standing in the doorway, and she says, Tyler, are you playing a video game, and why are you crying?
Oh, no.
I was like, I just had something in my eyes. And then, you know, we went on a date, and that relationship didn't last super long, but it's still my favorite game.
That is an awesome story. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But
that's why we love video games.
Yeah, things like that. Then I'm single.
Oh, God. That is fantastic. Wow. I did something similar. Like I had a girlfriend in middle school, and just like one of those, like, what do you do when you're hanging out and you can't, drive a car? It's like, I'll bring my PlayStation 2 over and we can play Final Fantasy 10. Okay, why not? Yeah. Don't think she was into it. It didn't. I mean, it lasted for a while, but.
But who needs girlfriends when you have Yuffie and Tifa and whatever the names of the ones in 10 are?
So you're gonna hate me. Yuffie, which one was the black mage?
No, that Yuffie is from Final Fantasy VII. Vivi is the black mage from 9.
I renamed him Tyrone and laughed my ass off throughout the game.
Why? Because he's black?
Yeah, it was that petty.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
This has been Jokes.
This has been Jokes. Black people exist.
Isn't it great that we mature eventually?
And I'll do mine here. The game right now that I have like categorically the fewest bad things to say about is Dark Souls, but you're sick and tired of hearing that. The game that I think has like had the biggest impact on the way I like see games now, and like I would count it to be like one of my favorites is still Silent Hill 2. That I just like that is like playing that was a seminal moment for me and like maturing into the person who likes the games that I like now. But Tyler's memory jarred something loose in me, and I'm gonna have to say Final Fantasy IV actually.
Really?
Yeah, because
we're all giant otaku Japanime nerds here.
Yes, well, it's just like our Japanese animes. Yes, Final Fantasy IV, or I guess Final Fantasy II at the time. My grandmother, every weekend, she would rent a game for me because she was that nice. I had Nintendo Power and Game Pro and things like that. And I was reading about this Final Fantasy VI game, or 3 rather. I was like, I want that one if they have it, please. It wasn't the first RPG I played, but I think that honor goes to Super Mario RPG. But she brought home Final Fantasy II because that's all that they had, and I like fell into it. Like it was one of those games. Nintendo used to do this where the manual was extra thick, and the back portion of it was like a strategy guide for the first part of the game. So I was like, I was in second grade. I was towards the tail end of second grade. And I was like, wait a minute, video games involve reading, like more than just like knowing how to say like save or start or what have you. It's like, oh, wow. And for as basic as that story was and for as melodramatic and things, I got like wrapped up into it. It's like, oh, no, Yang's dead, but he's back now. Now he's dead again. Oh, no. Just imagine being, 7-8 years old, and that's a thing. That turned me into an RPG person, which, I think that if you look at a theme of, a lot of the games that, we talk about here, the key part of them is patience. And coming to RPGs that young, I think helped me develop a certain amount of patience. And that has had a big impact on me. And so, yes, of all time, if you look at like what hit me the hardest, earliest, Final Fantasy 2/4, whatever it is, who knew?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think like people give enough credit to kind of, I don't know, even that generation of RPGs, I feel like fostered a love of reading and like stories for a lot of kids. Cause I know that like it was a combination of like coming to, getting really into novels and also getting really into RPGs like at the same time in my childhood that like they just both kept feeding each other to a point where like now I'm in a career where I deal with literature every day and I love it.
Yeah.
And I definitely owe a lot of that to Super Mario RPG making me like want to read so that I could play this game.
So you could see more of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Jeffrey's second question is, what contemporary game do you think will have the most profound effect on future games? We can keep this a little bit short because I like the next question really good and we're going kind of long. I will say right now, anything free to play, as much as just looking at it practically, that is a huge deal, and there are more and more people getting that, and I will be really surprised if that isn't played up more in the next console generation. It's not a controversial opinion, but that is a thing to say. I'm
going to go ahead and make a similar answer and just say, like, I kind of a gaming thing more than like an actual game. Although like the textbook example of this is Journey. I'd say incidental co-op. Games that, and Dark Souls kind of does this too, but games that are constantly online just all the time, and that it isn't so much like multiplayer or MMO as just like a game that you kind of like don't even realize how its connectivity to everyone else's game is affecting it.
Yeah, other people are wallpaper.
Yeah, I think that has some really cool places to go without being like intrusive. And as like internet becomes more of like kind of an easier thing, and as hopefully more people take the PlayStation route and don't have subscription fees for their internet capabilities and games.
Word.
Yeah, at least for like basic stuff. Like I would really enjoy it if like there was that passive level that was always allowed so long as you had something plugged into it. But then like if you wanted to go the Halos
definitely
route,
like an option to like turn things off.
Yeah.
But also like if you want, you can be like you can have this game going on with like all kinds of other stuff connected to it.
Yeah. Dennis.
I'm going to have to say Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Simply because it's the first game that I can think of that took was hugely mainstream and combined RPG elements into a non-RPG game. And I think since Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, every single game has some sort of RPG element to it. And I think you'll never see people go back from that trend. And I think we need a COD Blopsy or a COD Blopsummer for that one. COD form.
Yeah,
COD form.
Yeah, let's call it COD 4.
COD 4.
Yeah, what's a COD 4? Nah, I don't.
Yeah.
A delicious dinner.
Yummy.
Yeah, so yeah, that would be my answer.
Cool. And our final question comes from Carlo Dieron on the Facebook page. He says, best/worst experience working in or being a customer in video game retail?
Since I went last on the last one, can I go first on this one?
Yes, you may.
Yes, please. I need some time to think.
Yes. Mine is actually relatively recent. So we have Buzz Quiz TV for PlayStation 3, which is like a party game, and you actually have these little buzzers, and it's just a trivia game, but it's insanely fun.
Yeah.
We bought it off of someone from like a knockoff Craigslist type of site, completely randomly, and have had just a great time with it. But we only have 4 controllers, and it's a party game, so whenever we have more than 4 people at our house, we can't use it really, or we have to force people to watch. So I've been searching the internet and looking at GameStops and just everywhere possible to find an extra set of controllers, and just they're nowhere to be found. And so one day I was going to meet a friend for lunch and just got there a little bit early, and there was a GameStop next to the Five Guys, and so I wandered in, was just walking around.
That's my old GameStop. Continue.
Oh, you're kidding me?
Yeah.
In Rookwood?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So I just randomly struck up a conversation with the guy behind the counter, and I forget how Buzz came up, but I was like, oh yeah, it's like the one thing the internet can't find for me. And he's like, oh yeah, those things are impossible to find. Actually, and I literally got a tingle down my spine when he said that. And he like gets up on a ladder, climbs up to some lockbox on the ceiling, and like opens it up, and like he was opening the Ark of the Covenant. There was an extra set of Buzz controllers.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I think I threw my wallet at him and just screamed.
Take it all, take everything.
That's still a happy man. But that was a great experience. Just completely having given up on it and then completely randomly finding it.
I'm happy my alma mater came through for you. Great. Tyler, do you still need time to think? Because I can give mine.
No, I can go bananas.
Yeah, go bananas.
I can do this.
Let's not do it too great.
I won't get bananas. I'll just go grapes, melons, coconuts, rest of the DK wrap. Mine was a young experience. I loved loved Donkey Kong Country as a little kid. That was my first game that I really got into because as a young child, I wanted nothing more than to be the baby animal keeper for the monkey pen in the zoo.
Nice.
That was like my life's ambition. And so I was like, Gorilla's the best. But through that, I got really into Rare games. Mm-hmm. And so when the N64 came out, like I was Diddy Kong Racing before I was Mario Kart. And I remember for a birthday, Banjo-Kazooie was coming out after my birthday, but it was going to be my big gift for my birthday. Mm-hmm. And like my parents didn't try to surprise me with gifts because I would research the hell out of everything. Yeah. And they would know that like, let's just ask him what he wants because he's going to have like something very specific and know exactly where we can get it for the best price. But we went to pre-order this game and I was kind of bummed because I was really excited because the game was going to be coming out and I knew I would be able to play it. But I was kind of bummed because I was like, well, I'm going to have like a birthday where I don't really have like a big gift to open or anything like that. But we were pre-ordering it from the guy in the game. I don't think it was a GameStop. It might have been an electronics boutique. It was just one of those mall stores. Yeah. And it was definitely like a big corporate one, not like kind of a local one where it's like, you know, a mom and pop or something. But it was this kind of like, you know, this typical 20-something working in the mall. And he saw in my eyes how excited I was about this game. Yeah. And he was like, hey, we have this huge vinyl promotional poster for Banjo-Kazooie. Do you want it? And I was like, yes.
That is the coolest.
Please. And it was huge and it hung beside my bed for years. I loved it. It was the greatest. And I just remember like thinking that guy was the coolest human on the face of the planet. It was super, super good. As far as like war stories, I don't have a ton. My friend Spencer does. He actually owns a video game shop in Ephrata, PA, in the Lancaster area. If anyone's in the area, please go to Complete Inbox. But he owns a store where he does vintage. Most of his sales are like from collectors games, like complete in box type stuff. Yeah. And he has a ton of horror stories of people coming in and taking like every single N64 game off the shelf, bringing it up to the counter saying like, can you give me like an itemized price on every single one of these games? And then saying like, I will buy 2. And every time he posts one of his horror stories, I cringe and also kind of love it just because I think people are ridiculous.
Yes, they are.
And every once in a while, he'll like get a cartridge in a lot sale that like cockroaches will come out of. And he's just like, well, never touching this again.
Yeah. Burn it. It's the only way to be sure. God, yeah. I worked in game retail for 8 years. From my 16th
the best years of your life.
Yeah. From my 16th birthday to last year, March of 2012. It's one of those things. What's that?
The golden age.
Yes. So, man, I need to pray. It's I don't want to say anything bad about GameStop. You know, itself. I have people who. Yeah, I still know people who work there, things like that. So out of courtesy, I will withhold on that, at least here.
It is most definitely 100% a game store. I'll give it that.
It is. Yes, it is one of those things. But I have a similar story to that, just in terms of like working there and absurd things. GameStops are basically upscale pawn shops. But it was really bad when we took DVDs because, it was just people, who had stolen things and, just like really you get a bunch of DVDs and what are you going to do with them? You've watched them. I'm just going to get rid of them. It just brought in kind of the bottom of the barrel. And, We had a guy come in. He was with his family, and Sunday was always the worst day for these. And you can always tell because they come in with duffel bags or backpacks or garbage bags full of stuff. This guy came in with 2 duffel bags, a backpack, and a garbage bag that were full of DVDs, and not just DVDs, but wrestling DVDs.
Oh, yes.
So like compendiums, collections of like Bret the Hitman Hart, you know, just like WrestleManias 1 through 27 or something like that. It was and this was relatively early when I was there. So it was the old computer system that was like DOS, and you had like, you know, 40 items per transaction before the thing took a shit. So it had to be broken up into a bunch of things. I forget how many individual pieces there were, and all this stuff was in like, it was either in really good condition or it looked like the dog had a hold of it. But he ended up getting like $200 out of these DVDs, most of which were generics, like generics that went for like, you know, $1, $2 a piece, sometimes even 50 cents. This dude, like this was a lovingly collected and curated and crafted, minus the dog DVDs, that he was like cashing in. He didn't seem anguished about it. Like most people, when they do that, they say, "Oh, I need to make rent" or something like that. They offer like an excuse because what they're doing is shameful. It was like, nope, just want to get rid of it. And it's like, whoa. So that was like 2 days to process all of that.
Yikes.
I really hope that he just like kind of bought like that last DVD at one point and like slid it into the one empty space in his wall, and it was just like, I have arrived. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I can sell it. Like, that was worth it. Also,
well, it's almost tragic because at one point in his head he was like, I am going to retire based off of this. This is my collection.
I will pass these down to my son, who will pass it down to his son. Ron Jr. will love this.
Ron is both right. What was it you were going to say, Tyler?
Did your GameStop create a WrestleMania section after that? Like, what else would you even do with them? And did you have to put a shelf in just for like Wrestle DVDs?
We did organize them all on their lonesome.
I'm sorry for calling them Wrestle DVDs. It sounds like, hey Johnny, let's go pick up some Wrestle DVDs.
But Julian, wrestling games and chicken pizza.
I like one Wrestle DVD, please.
I will take 50 shirtless guys. Wait. We did condense them. Theater, haha. We did condense them, and like more shocking. Okay, not more shocking than this guy bringing all these in at once, but still shocking is how quickly they went.
Oh man!
Like it was like somebody. It was like a mystical wizard came by and waved his staff and said, "You shall experience 4 weeks of strangeness." And then he like galloped away on his skeletal horse and left us.
It's really just John Cena in disguise. It's like, I got to support my own business
because he gets a cut somehow. Yeah. So that, like, I mean, I know that doesn't have to do with games too much. Like, I could say our system room did smell like Chinese food and bong water. It was really gross. Oh, Christmas time, always a bad scene. Yeah, but otherwise, that's just the thing. It was an okay job when I was in college.
Another theater moment plug. If you love professional wrestling, or even if you hate it, read the play, The Elaborate Entrance of Chad Deity by Christopher Diaz. It's one of my all-time favorite plays. It's about kind of like the inner workings of pro wrestling, and it is hilarious and beautiful and everything that's good about the world. Pro wrestling is the best.
Cool. So yeah, that's my experience. Excellent. A rousing bound of multiplayer. I'd like to do this more often. And
a rousing bound of multiplayer. I mean, right, guys?
What?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? No, don't worry about it.
I will not. But no. Yeah. If you just throughout the week, anytime, if you have questions, ask them on the Facebook page, the Twitter, any of those, and we will get to them eventually. We really like that. Also, the contact page, all that stuff we're going to talk about. You guys ready to button it up?
Yes.
Sure. End boss, real quick.
the end boss.
For a real quick end boss, we only have one thing that we're going to hit, but we want to hit it hard. Since you hit me to this, Tyler, I would like to have you explain it.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone who is familiar with Speed Demos Archive or with Speedruns Live, Speed Demos Archive keeps track of all of the kind of world record speedruns for video games. And Speedruns Live is a website where people stream their practice runs for speed runs, and then also it's kind of like they put links to Twitch accounts and stuff like that. Both really cool things. But this week is an event they do once a year called Awesome Games Done Quick. And what it is you can go to speeddemosarchive.com or speedrunslive.com. And either of them will show you links, but they are streaming some of the best players in the U.S. Playing their best games, attempting world records, playing some just hilariously awful games, some really unique games. They're streaming 24/7 throughout this week. So when this comes out, you should still have Friday and Saturday to check it out. But they also, all of the money from the ads that they run during the streaming and the donations they take actually go to the Prevent Cancer Foundation, which is something that I really I'm passionate about. And my family personally has been affected by cancer. I know that it's getting hard anymore to find a family that has not been affected by cancer in some way, either with family members or with friends. And they have already raised a ton of money. Last I checked, they were at $90,000 that they had raised. Their goal was $100,000, and this was as of Tuesday morning. So they are making serious bank, and they also have some really sweet T-shirts that they're doing with the Yeti. You can find links for that on the Marathon page. But $11 T-shirts. There's an Earthbound one. There's a Final Fantasy IX one. There's a sweet one with all the bosses from games that glows in the dark. Some really cool T-shirts. There's one with cross sections of a Goron, as if you were going to cut him up for sushi. But these are $11 T-shirts, and $3 of each $11 purchase goes directly to the Prevent Cancer Foundation. So if you are somebody who likes games, and if you are somebody who hates cancer, which I think all of us do, please support this. It's very entertaining. I especially recommend. I think you're going to have time. Check out Cosmo Wright. He is one of the best Wind Waker players out there. His runs are super fun to watch, and he's super funny. And then also Sig Lemick. He is the world record holder for Super Mario 64. He's going to be doing a run, and he's been repping the U.S. Japan keeps trying to take back that world record, but he keeps taking it back. So, support the home team. Go and watch some speed runs and be the most nerdy human and kick ass.
Yeah, it's I bought two of the T-shirts, the boss one and the Runaway 5 one, breaking my self-imposed wardrobe restrictions because it's for a good cause, and they were great shirts.
I the Runaway 5 one and surprise the Final Fantasy IX one because nobody gives that game enough love.
Yeah, check it out. It's awesome to see people who like games, gathering together for a great cause, especially when they're making something awesome, which are these speedruns. Listening into the live feed, it's really interesting hearing the commentary. It's very professionally done, and they're sharing stories from people who donate. So it's really great.
I have teared up a number of times because video games are for babies, and I'm a baby.
Yes,
but yeah, as of right now, they have raised $111,000.
Wow!
They're probably going to $112,000 before the night is out. So definitely.
And as of right now, being as of Tuesday.
Yes,
as of Tuesday at 11:45.
Yeah, so go check that out. We really encourage you to do that, and we will keep tabs on that. Maybe I guess not next week. The week after that, we will come in and let you know how that came out, how it shook out, what their final total was.
Chances are you've already seen it advertised some on the Tweetos or the Facebook, because
Yes.
I know we're both blasting the hell out of this thing.
Yes, we are.
The credit.
So that was episode 8 of The Level. Let's see here. What can you do? First, a programming note. I am not going to be able to do the show next week due to traveling for work. I am breaking this news to Dennis right now. So
I'm heartbroken.
oh no. Yeah.
Hear me again.
It sucks coming off of missing an episode for Christmas. Dennis, get it together. Come on. We'll talk about this offline. All right? But yeah, in the there's plenty of great material across these internets between Ninjas versus Podcasting, their shows on the network. You'll be fine. What can you do? iTunes ratings, reviews, those really help. We're doing pretty good in the ratings, which is nice. Featured and all of that kind of stuff, bafflingly so. So thank you very much for everybody who's been putting in the effort there. If you would like to support the network, you can go to Duckfeed.tv/tipjar. Use the Amazon link there. We get a little bit of a kickback from that. Doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just something that's nice to do. Covers the blog hosting and things like that. Tell a friend, all of those kind of things. Join the Facebook group and look out for the conversation prompts. Join the discussion there. I'm trying to be more active. What?
Look out!
What?
Conversation prompts. Sorry. Those are the kind of jokes that you can expect from Ninjas versus Podcast.
No, I follow. I see what you did there. Yeah.
I need to be more careful with my words or remember the things I say.
We gotta get our level Facebook group larger than the DTR Facebook group. That's my goal.
Yes. Although I did boost the DTR group because of the college station nature of that. So that is an unrealistic goal to shoot for right now. But we're getting there. It's doing pretty well.
How long did DTR run? What was that, like 5 years?
2008 to 2012. Yeah.
We got time.
Yes, but we're good. Yeah. So I'm going to stop rambling here. What I will say is, my name's Kole Ross, and you can find me at Kole Ross on Twitter and all the other Duckfeed.tv shows, or most of them anyway. How about you, Dennis?
I am at D Furia, and as Kole said, my name is Dennis Furia.
And Tyler?
I am at Cool Guy Crumrine on Twitter. That's CRUMRINE. And also, you can find Ninjas vs. Podcast on iTunes or on Facebook, and ditto to all the things Kole said, except give us more ratings than them.
Yeah. So we can't thank you enough, Tyler, for coming on. It's been a fantastic time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love you guys' shows. Watch out for Fireballs in a lot of ways is one of NVP's podfathers. Listening to it got me like, hey, I could do this podcast thing. So it's really kind of like I have arrived. Now I'm going to go sell all my wrestling DVDs moment, having a chance to be on this show. So thank you very much.
So we've had pod people, we've had pod brothers. Podfather is by far the coolest variant.
That's actually a title that is ascribed to somebody who is like seen as being the originator of, if not podcasts themselves, the term podcast. So it's a dude, I forget his name. Given that this is what I do as my basically second job, I should know that. But that evidence is the amount of care that I put into this hobby. So
yeah, Kole is a regular podcast Renaissance man. As long as Renaissance man means he's really good at like one thing. That's making podcasts.
Yep. Oh man! So we would love to have you back sometime, Tyler.
Yeah, just let me know. I'm usually free.
Cool.
I'll do this, whatever games,
video games, yes.
People.
Yep. So
video games,
because that's what we're all about here.
Why are you still here?
It's kind of crazy if you don't like video games. You're still here.
You're waiting for like something else. If you were waiting for more like inside baseball and wrestling, sorry.
So, in keeping with the theme of this podcast, go check out Ninjas versus Podcast. Yeah, wait a minute. That's weird to hear somebody else say, right?
It was like, wait a second. Are there two of me on this podcast?
Wait a minute.
Oh, no, he's acting. Oh, shoot. Yeah. I should be able to pick this out by now.
So check out Ninjas versus Podcast and keep being awesome. Thanks.
Yep.
This is the second time that I've talked with a I call other podcasters pod people, that I've talked with a pod person that like I listened to their show. The first time was Gary. So
I am also actually a pod person.
Yes.
You're here. The entire just gestation period and growth and implanting of my people is very strange. So.
Yes, you're here to destroy us, but we're okay with that.
This anatomical design just gets more and more gruesome in my head the more we talk about it.
Yeah, honestly, you don't want to see me. It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, floating in a vat.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
I was essentially Genova in Final Fantasy VII, only with even more nude breasts.
True or false? You are communicating with us psionically.
Yes, that is 100% true. I actually don't have vocal cords, so it's the only way I can communicate is online.
Well, and really,
go ahead.
And really, you're coming to us in a form that we can understand. Yeah, if you revealed your true form,
I am descending to your level.
Yes.
So thank you so much for inviting me to do that.
No, this podcast, or at least this episode, is going to be kind of a Garfield minus Garfield situation, where it's me and Kole babbling with an unheard third person and just slowly descending into madness.
Yes.
That is wonderful.